teaching yet?
No. So I'll be doing that in the fall.
All right. Good for you. Do you know where you're going?
I'm going to Weber, but they didn't tell me what area yet.
Okay.
But I'm excited.
Is that where you're from?
I'm from Idaho, well, St. Anthony.
Oh, really?
It's just down the road.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. When did you graduate?
2018.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, cool.
Yeah, we don't like South Fremont. I'm just kidding.
What's that?
We don't like South Fremont.
You don't?
I'm just kidding. No, I went to school there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a problem with South. There's a lot of great people up there.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, obviously it's a rivalry of the athletics and stuff.
Right.
There are a lot of great people up there.
That's true. So my first question is, what does your interview process look like?
Yeah, so when we're interviewing for any new position, we'll obviously do our research, our due diligence, and do some checking on my candidates. And then I put a team together. So, like if it was an English teacher, for example, I'd get our department chair from our English department. They would sit on the interview, myself, vice principal, usually one of like our counselors and one of our secretaries at least, and if possible a parent.
Mm-hmm.
I'll schedule the interviews all for one day if I can, and then I really ensure that every person in the room has an opportunity to speak, but I also ensure that the questions are the exact same for every single candidate.
Right.
So if we ask one candidate something, we're going to ask the other 3 or 4 the same thing, just to try and ensure like some fidelity with the process, and that everyone's getting a fair shake.
Right. I like that. What is the most important qualities you look for when hiring a new teacher?
I look for somebody, number one, who's passionate about what they're doing. Because this is a tough industry if you don't like what you do.
Right.
Right? I mean, there's a lot of ways to make a buck. So if you're not passionate about what you're doing, it's going to be challenging. You have to be able to, the other thing I look for is how well they're going to collaborate with others. Ask a lot of questions about collaboration and taking that approach. More and more, education is something that you really have to work as a team to ensure fidelity across the curriculum. So that's another thing I look for. And just their overall personality. Are they a positive person? Because that's the type of person I want to surround myself with, is somebody who's positive and excited about what they do.
Like that. Yeah, I kind of answers like, what do you define as a strong candidate? So that's fine. What do you look for in a resume?
I don't want it to be long.
Yeah.
Honestly, I want one page that I can glance at and just see like, hey, where'd you do your student teaching? Where'd you go to school? Where are you from? Maybe a couple of interests. I don't want to sift through pages of stuff. That's what an interview's for,
right,
in my opinion. So keep it simple, keep it clean. Professional, obviously, but I definitely don't want it like gaudy, ornate, long.
Right.
But that's the kind of person I am. I'm just kind of a simple to the point kind of guy.
Makes sense. What teacher practices do you value most with your new teachers, or I guess your teachers in general?
Yeah, student involvement. If they're able to involve students in a lot of the choice, in a lot of the curriculum, especially with AI and everything else, there's got to be different ways to assess other than just a traditional test. So I'm big into projects, I'm big into group work, I'm big into anything that involves the students having a say or having a choice in what they do. So if the teacher is willing to involve the students in the classroom, that's pretty big for me.
Like that. What does your evaluation look like when you're hiring a potential teacher? Well, I could actually hang on. What does? Oh yeah. So like, I guess like when you're evaluating a new teacher candidate, what do you like? What do you look for?
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on that a little bit, and then I really rely on my committee. I really rely on their input as well.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, and not always, but usually, let's say we interview 4 candidates. There's usually one that we're like, that's not a good fit for us.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that's like, so-so, and then there's usually 2 that we're kind of split on. And so, giving everybody a say and an opportunity to go around and say, I think this candidate would be great because of this. And we've even done an extra interview before, or we've asked them to come and take 5 minutes or 10 minutes and teach a segment of a lesson in the classroom because it was that like close. And what's challenging about hiring is it's a big deal, like who you surround yourself with, what teacher you get, and we're basing that off of a 20-minute, half-hour interview.
Right.
Yeah, so it's pretty like, it's a crucial step for us, so I take those pretty seriously. But I really do rely on my team, and then it's those qualities I talked about earlier is kind of what I'm looking for.
Okay. Do you value experience or potential when selecting new hire?
Depends on the job. I'm not opposed to hiring a brand new teacher at all. And there is some things to be said about experience, but there's also some things to be said about starting fresh. When you start fresh, I feel like they're a lot more receptive and open to feedback, to criticism. They bring a lot more energy typically. So there's pros and cons both ways. So it really just depends upon the candidate. But I'm not opposed to hiring a brand new teacher. I've done it a lot of times, and for the most part, it's worked out well. Right? It's because of I have a veterans crew mostly, and so I can surround teachers with mentors and people to help. But you can't replace the energy and excitement that sometimes newness brings. You know?
Like that. What red flags do you look for?
Yeah, I again, it's just the way they carry themselves. There's something to be said just about their aura, if that makes sense. Right? Just what they're giving me. I feel like myself and my team are a pretty good judge of character, and even though we only have a half hour, I feel like we can kind of get the overall feel for who these people are. If they're negative, if they're not very outgoing, if they're just don't seem really excited about the opportunity, those are kind of red flags for me.
Okay. What advice would you give someone applying to a position for your school?
Bring some enthusiasm. Show up and be like, man, I want to be part of your family. I want to be part of your team. So that's what I feel like we are. We're just a big family. I'd also recommend do a little research before. Know like what our demographics are, because all that stuff's available online, right? Know our school size, know our trends, know a little bit of our history, and by doing that, that's like a big deal to me, because it knows like, okay, this person actually, they're not just here for a paycheck. They want to be part of us. They've done their homework. They have showed a little due diligence. So
that's interesting. What common mistakes do people make during the interview?
Maybe overthinking some of the answers, maybe talking a little too much. Maybe if we ask a question and they give a good answer, and then they maybe overthink it and be like, wait, can I go back to that?
Yeah.
Because they thought of something else later on. Just own it and move on. Don't go back and rehash it.
Right. That's fine. I guess, what does your onboarding process look like?
Yeah, so I think we're getting better at this over the years. We're a small district, obviously, so we don't have the resources of some of the big guys, but I think we're improving our process. We do some summer meetings, and then we do like 3 days of orientation training for our new teachers. And then once a month, new teachers in the district get together with different groups. Maybe 1 month you're working on classroom management, 1 month you're working on curriculum, 1 month you're working on instruction, 1 month you're working on evaluation, and we just kind of rotate through to provide some training. Then they're also assigned a mentor teacher as well, to provide some guidelines and somebody that they can go to for help.
How long is the mentor program for?
It's for a year.
Okay.
Yeah. And then your year 2, it's still a mentor program, but it's scaled back. So, and typically year 2 we'll assign a different teacher in the department to kind of work with them. Really year 1 is when we really hammer it.
Okay. Cool. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.